like to get yourselves comfortable. And then I've got to think of something to talk about tonight. I know that when I first started teaching, we'd always have a subject. I'm going to talk about this tonight, I'll talk about that tonight. But I found that when I don't do that, you trust your mind. You look at all the people here and you pick out something which is for my audience. Otherwise I'll be talking from me rather than talking from you. And sometimes people say that, and it's quite weird. If it's a really good talk, and some people say, wow, you were talking just to me. And then someone else comes, hey, so Bob, you're talking just to me. You're talking just to me. You know, sometimes we all feel that we're totally different from other people, than the person sitting next to you, or from the monks, or from the nuns. But what's really important is what we have in common. And that what we have in common, that allows us to communicate, and communicate something much deeper. I just was mentioning this at a talk a few days ago, and it was my old simile of the 1,000-petaled lotus. And it was a brilliant simile, simply because it explains so much about life and how you can respect even those people you feel it's impossible to like or love. And how you respect yourself, and how you use that different way of looking at life and perception to really go deeply in your meditation. It describes what meditation is and what our spiritual practice is on the simile of the 1,000-petaled lotus. So here we go. And that was that a lotus is a simile of Buddhism from the early times. It has many other different uses as well. So before I go to the 1,000-petaled lotus simile, I also remember practicing this simile of a lotus, that a lotus doesn't collect anything which is in contact with. If the rain falls on the lotus is never wet, because the rain just drips off. It doesn't actually penetrate the petals of a lotus. And that's one of the reasons why, that if someone urinates on a lotus, after the urine has fallen on that lotus, it all falls off. And if you pick up that lotus afterwards and smell it, you can't smell any urine. All you can smell is lotus. The same as somebody pours, look, it's just a long time out of this world, Chanel No. 5 on that lotus. I don't know if that's the most popular perfume or what. Someone pours Chanel No. 5 over that lotus. Well, that perfume will drip off the lotus. It will fall off. And then if afterwards you pick up the lotus, you will never smell any perfume on the lotus. It will still smell like a lotus. Its own smell. And of course in that simile, just the perfume or the urine stands for praise and blame. I don't know how many of you this last week people have blamed you. Some fairly, some unfairly. Sometimes people have praised you. Some fairly, some unfairly. But to me, I always was asked and learnt just how to regard all that praise and blame, just like urine and Chanel No. 5, over a lotus. It passes right by you. Because how can anyone really know what you're doing or why you're doing it? How can people actually praise you? They're not close enough to you. They can't read your mind to know why you do those things. What's an example of that? Oh, many years ago, when I was in Thailand as a young monk. And for those of you who've lived in Asia, especially the poorer parts of Asia, or the poor parts of the poor countries of Asia, you find that things like even vehicles or buses, they're extremely old and they're not well maintained. And it was happening at this particular time that many buses in the northeast of Thailand were bursting into flames. And many people were killed. And I know one of my fellow monks, he was in one of those buses which, burst into flames, and that, he lost his bowl and, I think, bag in that fire, because the company actually replaced that bowl for him. It was their fault. But anyway, that many people were getting injured or killed. So, there was I sitting in the bus. And because you're a monk, they put you in the front seat. There's a reason for that, because they feel that monks have got lots of good karma, more good karma than other people. So they put them in the front, and they feel they're safe from front-end collisions. And it was true. I remember sometimes it was really crazy. I was in the front seat of one of these good buses, which meant on a highway, which meant they were going really fast. That's before I got in. But when I got in, they smiled. They said, "No, you don't have to pay." And they put me in the front seat, right next to the window. And the bus driver was smiling because there was a movie on a TV on the bus. And he really wanted to see this, but he couldn't because he was driving. But now I was on the front seat. He knew he was safe, and so he was going there, watching the movie. And it was frightening. I mean, there's big trucks coming right towards us a few times. Hey, look. Oh, yeah. I survived, of course. But they used to do that, and many people, if they're Asians, and especially from Thailand, that sometimes they put the monks in the front seat of the bus for safety. So I remember I was actually flying on Thai Airways once, economy class. And I reminded them of that story and said, well, that in buses they put you in the... It didn't work. It was a nice try, though. But anyway, I was in the front of this bus. So I was in the front of the bus next to the window, and there was another monk sitting next to me. And we were happily driving down the back streets of northeast Thailand. And then someone in the back shouted out, "Fire! Fire!" There was smoke coming out from the back. So the bus driver, he slammed on the brakes. And when it stopped, the whole bus and everyone was just rushing to get out. And the monk next to me, he was rushing to get out as well. It didn't matter who he touched, he was going first. The driver himself, he climbed out the window. And there was Ajahn Brahm sitting quite peacefully, just watching everybody, I can be last, doesn't really matter. And the reason was because I hadn't read the newspapers. I didn't know what the problem was. What's the big deal? And then everybody got out except for me and just one other passenger. And the passenger said, "Oh, I found it. It's only a cigarette. That's all." So it wasn't a real fire. It was just a cigarette. Made a bit of smoke in the back. And so all of these passengers got back on the bus. And as they had to pass me because I was in the front seat. And they all paid respect to me. They thought I must be totally enlightened and not afraid of dying in a fire like everyone else had done. Oh, it felt really good. But if they'd only known that I hadn't got a clue what was going on, it wasn't fearlessness, it was stupidity. And be careful, because there's not that much difference between fearlessness and stupidity sometimes. But anyway, so that was an example of praise which I certainly did not deserve. But out of compassion I accepted it. Though sometimes there's criticism. But I remember that simile of being like a lotus. And sometimes you do something, you haven't done anything wrong at all. People criticise you and just blame you, and you did this, you did that, well. And then I listen to them. Then afterwards it just all goes off. And you don't keep anything. And that's the most important. Now, I don't know why it is that somebody says something to you at work, or just passing down the street or something. I've had some really interesting comments about me being dressed like this. Hey, you're dressed like a girl. Why didn't you get some trousers? Or, why didn't you get a proper job? I've had that many times. I must admit that one of those criticisms which I shouldn't have done, but I really thought was funny, because I was walking with another very senior monk. That was the monk Ajahn Brahm. We were working in this place in Darlington or something, many, many years ago. And I was a young monk, and he was older than I was. And so this guy, who was in his suit, I think he even had a bowler hat or something, and umbrella, going on his way to work. And he passed us, and he looked at Ajahn Brahm, the elder of the two of us. He looked at him, and he said to this monk, "You are old enough to know better." And I thought, what a put down that was. I couldn't help laughing. This was funny. I thought it was funny. He didn't take it seriously. What does he know about what that monk was up to? So because of this, praise and blame, we just let it go. I don't take any of it seriously. And because I don't take any of it seriously, you can enjoy it. Who was I telling this to? I'm not sure, but that in those years when I used to go to funeral services a lot, I still go to funeral services. There's one of the tragic cases here in Perth of a young kid passed away. And it's just maybe 5 or 6 years old. And the family were devastated. It was a Chinese family. Could have been Hong Kong or Taiwan or somewhere. And so they said that, can you do the funeral service for us? But we can't go. Said it's just too hard for us to go. So yeah, sure, I'll do the funeral service for you, give it a bit of extra for you. They said we really want our kid, to have something. So they hired a limo to go to the funeral parlour. And the kid's little coffin, it was only about this big, was in the front of the, had only time I've ever been in a limo, have one in the seat in the front, one in facing it, and the two drivers in their own little cabin in the front. So the two drivers were in suits and like real chauffeurs, two of them. And in the sort of the back of the limo, there was a coffin and me, but you couldn't see the coffin, you could only see me. So what it looked like, going down the streets of Perth, is two uniformed chauffeurs in a limo, and there must be this very important person in the back. Would you be able to resist it? When you stopped at the traffic lights, wound the window down and I ain't got a clue who I was. Who knows? But anyway, so that was just enjoy yourself and just praise when you don't deserve it. Blame. That's like the simile of the lotus, remembering that nothing sticks you. You can enjoy it. You can enjoy the Chanel No. 5 or the urine. And then afterwards it disappears. And nothing is left. So in life, I don't know what's happened to you this week, but please be like that lotus, and you don't keep anything. So you're totally free and peaceful. That creates a lot of stillness and happiness in your life. But anyway, the real simile of the 1,000-petal lotus is a lotus is closed up at night time, like a bud. And then when the sun rises, when that sun rises, that's one of the reasons they didn't have lotuses in England. Yeah, it's really dull and miserable. So they never out to open long enough to get pollinated or whatever. Anyway, so it's closed up. But when the sun, in Asian countries, the sun rises and the light and the warmth of the sun hits that lotus on the outside, it opens up. That's what causes the lotus to open. The warmth and light of the sun. And slowly it opens. And once one layer of petals opens, it allows the second layer of petals to receive the warmth and light of the sun. And that opens, allowing the third layer of petals to receive the warmth and light. And that opens. It opens one by one, allowing the next layer of petals to receive the warmth and light of the sun, so that can open. You go deeper and deeper and deeper inside the lotus. And as you go deeper inside that lotus, the petals are more fragrant, more beautiful. There's this pure smell of a flower as it's opening. And they're thinner, more delicate, more profound as you go deeper and deeper in. And of course that simile represents you. You are that lotus. And as you open up more and more and more, as you go deeper inside yourself, you find it becomes more and more fragrant, more and more delightful, beautiful, more profound. You get more insight into what your nature is. You don't learn about yourself from a book. You don't learn about yourself from a video on YouTube. Not even from the BSWA. You don't learn it from me. You get warmed by me. And little by little, you open up and find out what's inside you. And I don't know why it is. Many times the people say they feel afraid. On one of the talks which I gave last weekend, it was for a beautiful group of Buddhists from Hong Kong, the BIF group, Body Nine International Foundation. BIF doesn't mean they're a fight group. Because they can't come over here, we can't go over there. It's nice that we can see each other and talk with each other. And also from the Ahipasiko group in Indonesia. So it's wonderful seeing all your old friends again. But anyway, during those question times, because as well as just giving talks, it's great having questions because people can actually ask what they want to hear. So one of the questions was, they say when they start getting peaceful in meditation, they get scared. So is this right to get fear when meditation happens? And I recognize that in my own life as a meditator early on, and also the Buddha mentions that as well. That what fear is, you're just going to places you've never been before. And when you go to places you've never been before, of course you're a bit afraid. I don't know, do you remember the first time you came into this hall here? This place? And what is this? The people are going to ask me to join the cult. Honestly, this is not a cult. Many of you just ask each other, you can come and go as you please. But often when you actually become a member of our BSWA, it's just my habit. Please excuse me. I say, welcome to the cult. Because I'm not trying to take anything away from you. No one is taking anything away from you. Just like that. Please, I'm going off on tangents, but I love tangents. This woman called me. If I found out afterwards, it was a mother of one of the people who used to come here regularly. And she just asked me on the telephone in those days, said, how much do you have to pay to come here on a Friday night? And I said, it's nothing, it's for free. Then she said, you don't understand. How much money do I have to pay? I said, nothing. Listen. How many dollars and cents do I have to give to get through the door? And I told her, madam, as you can all see, you don't have to pay anything to get into this place. I will not take your name or address or try and sell you something. You can come in, you can go out for yourself. And I remember there's this wonderful pause. And I was listening, and she said, well, what do you guys get out of this then? And that was an interesting question, because people always feel you do something to get something back in return. You have to pay and then you get given something. Or you won't get given something if you don't pay. Or like the other telephone call, when somebody rang and they said, how much do you charge for meditation instructions? Said nothing. And they said, well, you can't be any good then. And of course, that's ridiculous. So everything is given for free. So when she said, what do you get out of this? You realise when you say, oh, there's nothing. If I said that, that wouldn't work. So I wanted to give a deeper answer. I said, I get happiness. And that's far more correct. You give, what you get out of it is joy and happiness. It's beautiful. So that's one of the reasons why I hope that you all understand this is a happy, joyful place. When you go to monasteries, they're happy and joyful places. Sometimes it's even hard to find a donation box. In fact, we try not to call it donation box. Somebody actually wrote on it, donation box, but I really wanted it to be called letting go box. It's much easier. Anyway, so back to the 1,000-petal lotus. Is as you go deeper in, it gets more profound. And you get these insights which come up. It's insight you see things in a different way. And this is not just seeing things in a different way so you can do experiments and just get Nobel Prizes and increase our technological sort of advantage or invent a new weapon of mass destruction. That's not what I mean by insights or deeper knowledge. It's like insights into how to deal with your life. When things don't go the way you expected them to. And when somebody dies. When you lose your job. Or your investments. The company which you own just goes bankrupt. What do you do? You know that sometimes people are asking me, said, well, should we get more insurance in case when things go wrong, or just more safety nets? And I told them that I don't have insurance for anything. I don't have superannuation. I don't own anything. I've got no money in the bank, no credit card in my name, nothing. I've got no assets. Oh, that's not true, is it? I do have many assets. I have my townhouse here. I have my country retreat. I've got quite a few country retreats now. No, they're not mine. But my insurance policy, and I've told people this, and I think it makes a point. My insurance policy is you. All those friends, including the monks next to me, and all those monks and nuns in the world, which I've helped and served, and are my friends. They're the ones I know who will look after me if ever I get sick. If ever I'm in need of something. Yeah. And it's actually quite fun looking after a monk. in the sense that, I already mentioned to you that sometimes I get a cough. It's just an allergy. It's what I picked up from my father. He had terrible asthma. And he eventually died when I was only 16. But, that I've got some of those genes, which means, during the hay fever season, I can have coughing fits. But I always remember when I really have a coughing fit, if you ever had the coughing fits, I always remember that what sort of somebody told me, it's not the cough that carries you off, it's the coughing they carry you off in. which is one way of looking at something positive. But anyway, just so this one day, sitting here, I was coughing, and, I think I only took cough once. You know what happened? I saw a couple of people walk out, and I thought, they didn't like the talk. Actually, they liked the talk, but that's not what they were up to. They just went to the corner of Morley Drive and Wanneroo Road where there was a chemist. And they came back here, and after the talk, there was about 4 or 5 of them. They said, I saw you coughing, I've got some medicine for you. It's very good medicine, it's cured my cough, please take it. And being a fool, idiot, I said, yes, I'll take it. I shouldn't have said that, because somebody else heard it, and they gave me some other medicine. This is homeopathic medicine, very good for you. You'll take it. And I couldn't say no, because I told the other lady I'll take hers. And you wouldn't believe how many different types of medicine there are for different types of cough. Ayurvedic medicine, naturopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine, I mentioned that, allopathic medicine, psychopathic medicine. I made that one up. But anyway, I had all these medicines in front of me. And I said to them, yes, okay, I'll take it. So I had to. I keep promises. If I say something, you've got to do it. And now I was really sick. But it was fun, because, we always say thank you and kind. So, anyway, back to the 1,000-petal lotus. So, the sun and the moon opening up the lotus, this is an important part of this simile. Because that is the sun and the warmth and light of the sun, so not the moon, that's got nothing to do with it. The warmth and light of the sun stands for mindfulness, that's the light of the sun, and kindness. You do need both of them to open up a lotus, as you need both mindfulness and kindness to open you up. And of course many people meditating, many people have been to other centres, other traditions in our world. That is the one thing which some mindfulness centres miss out on. Just this beautiful kindness, the warmth. Those two are necessary to open up a lotus. And as you have this warmth and the kindness, that's what you did at the beginning of this meditation. Now, half an hour ago, 1 hour ago, I asked you to look at your body, be aware of it, but be kind to it. So you look at your body, and if you need to adjust it, adjust it. If you need to lean against the wall or get a nice chair or something, please do so. And we do that, and we find our body relaxes. It doesn't relax if you force it to sit still. Sit still. You too. Who's the next? You, Nicholas, you're moving your hands. Can you really feel that you can get still that way? Or are you just paranoid and scared that someone's going to embarrass you again? No, to be able to sit still, we've got to be able to let go. Here we go. This is one of my favourite similes, and I usually give this in meditation retreats. This water. My goal is to keep this water perfectly still. So I'm going to... Have I achieved my goal yet? Is it moving? Still moving, isn't it? Why? I'm not being mindful, am I? Now I'm mindful. Has it stopped moving yet? Because I'm not concentrating. So I'm now going to be mindful and concentrate. You make me laugh. Okay, I'm not going to laugh. I'm mindful and concentrate. When I really try, this is honest, when I really try, it moves more. You ever notice that? Why? Because when we're trying, we actually interfere with things. And that's why things never go well when we try too hard. So, this is why many people try and meditate. And many people, unfortunately, think, I can't meditate, and they leave, they do something else. But with this simile, there's a very simple but very powerfully profound solution. So how can you get this water to be perfectly still? You put it down. You let it go. Now that is incredibly still.